And we're back for another exciting week of the Creators Collective. We are going to have another fun time today. This is episode number 83, and we're recording early this week because I'm going to be gone. We'll talk about that for a little bit here. I do want to say a huge thank you to our patrons on Patreon, especially to our top patrons, Darren Mates, Caleb Harris of You Can Make This Too, John from John Made It. Thank you, guys. You are really helping us take this podcast to the next level. So if you'd like to help out with that, you can find out more information at patreon.com/Creators Collective. Also, you can now listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. We're uploading to that. And looking forward to seeing you wherever the cool people are. You can join us live every Thursday at 10 a.m., usually, at Eastern Time. And we will record live on YouTube. And you can see our faces and join in the chat. That's where we get a lot of the questions and banter about what we're talking about. Also, if you have some question you'd like to send it to us, feel free to email one of the three of us or send it to our social media pages. So that's about it for what we have going on. Zach, what you got?
Well, I just got back in town Tuesday. What is today? Today's Wednesday. So I got back in town yesterday after being gone for a week. So yeah, it just still doesn't feel like home. I was up in the Northwest, so I grew up in Spokane, and I went up there for some funeral services stuff. But it was good to be back up in kind of that area, and I'm really excited to move back up there again. So hopefully next year, and yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing.
To not have you last.
What's that?
We were sad to not have you last week.
You guys were sad. It's an interesting response.
We didn't have the.
It's an interesting response.
We didn't have the loquacious character that is Zack Herberholtz.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll come through. I didn't hear what you said there. It kind of yeah. So that's why I wasn't there last, and I'm out of the groove. Take a week off, and I forget how to do podcasts.
Well, let's see if Will can answer. What you got going on, Will?
Flap, bloop. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just turned down all video quality, all everything. I feel like a crazy person right now. Thank you. It's been a long day. I am in the middle of juggling all the subcontractors for this pool that we're putting in. I just met with a plumber, and we walked through everything and elevations and all for yada yada yada. So just trying to wrap my head around everything that needs to happen within the next 2 weeks. Finally got to turning the pedestal bases. Finally got to turning the pedestal bases for the Bible, and man, they are big. But once I got them roughed into actual cylinders, turning something that big is a lot of fun. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, you're fine.
I think we can. Yeah, I think we're getting about like 70% of what you're saying.
Yeah, it'll be a little annoying for the live people, but those getting the podcast will get the Zencastr.
But they'll be annoyed by me laughing at what is seemingly nothing.
Yeah.
I finished that live edge bench I was working on. I did go with a mulberry white oak base, and that is up for sale currently for anyone that wants it. I got a new knife, the G1015, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It's a lot bigger than I thought. When I got it, it looks like just a regular bench grinder, but then when you get it in real life, it's about 90 pounds.
Wow.
And it's huge. Like think bench grinder, and then think of one like 3 times bigger than that.
What size are the wheels?
It's a 10-inch wheel.
Holy crap.
Drive wheel. 10-inch drive wheel on the right, and then whatever buff you put on the left.
Huh.
So I've been playing with that, and I used to say Zach about knife grinding and like how it just takes practice and it's not as easy as it looks to get like, nice bevels. So I've just been playing with mild steel just to try to get like good technique, so I don't trash nice steel. But I'm really excited about it. It's really cool. I could see it being. I could see me getting into knife making pretty hard. Yeah, and I'm just juggling projects. I think I have.
That was a good one.
I'm juggling about 25 different projects, and I've like halfway filmed half of them. So I'm kind of in this video ADD right now. But yeah, why don't I stop talking? Connection's so terrible. And James, what do you?
Well, right now I'm scrambling. I'm trying to get 6 videos shot in 2 days, because tonight at midnight I am leaving to drive to Michigan for the National Midwest Tool Collectors Association meet. And this is like one of the big exciting times of the year for me, because well, imagine for a second an entire parking lot full to the brim with pickup trucks and other types of trucks, completely filled with hand tools for sale, and most of them at reasonable to fantastic prices. Basically every hand tool you've ever imagined, from hand planes and chisels to saws and anvils, and I mean there'll be entire trucks of nothing but forging mallets, or hammers.
Wow.
I guess they're called. Just thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of tools for sale. And that's Thursday. And then Friday and Saturday we go inside, and it's like a basketball court completely packed with tables covered in hand tools. And so it is the biggest hand tool event of the year. So I'm happy and excited. I usually spend way too much money, but if anyone can't make it, I'm going to be on Instagram posting up pictures and videos of this. And if you see something you're like, ooh, I would love to have that, let me know. If I have enough money on hand, I might pick it up and mail them to people if they need it. But now that I've opened this up, I'll probably get way too many people asking for it. But you really gotta look at these, because they do 2 of them a year. So they do one in June and one in September, I think is the other one. And they're well worth it. People drive and fly from all over the world to come to these, because it's just one of those places where if you're looking for that tool and you can't find it anywhere, it's there. So worth it. So let's see. Other than that, I today made a bread knife. I made a breadboard. I made a jewelry box. I did laser engraving on several plaques.
By hand?
Yes. I had a hand crank laser generator. No, I actually take them to the local makerspace, and I'm not going to have a video on those, but it's a project for a camp that I'll be at next week. And then I'm also doing some sandblasting for another project for them. So I'm fairly busy at the moment.
That's good. Are you losing your voice?
Probably, because I've been talking to the camera all day. That, and I have a little bit of a sinus thing. So
Yeah.
That's what I get I spent an entire week at camp last week, and then I'll be going up there again this week. So we volunteer up there, and then our kids get 3 weeks of camp. So,
Speaking of losing your voice, talking and yada yada yada. I turned like everything off.
You're good. You're good at the moment.
Okay. Zack, you recommended a face mask a while back for bearded people. I've got a 3M, like the normal with the regular cartridges on the side. And then I've got an RZ mask, which is okay, but it fits under my face shield when I'm turning. But I've been dealing with a lot of walnut, and turning and sanding, and it's just harsh on my like. What mask did you recommend?
Ooh, I don't know the exact model number. I can see if I can pull it up on my Amazon. Did I? I wonder if I ordered it off Amazon. I think I did. I think it was a 3M, and it was a large. There we go. Found it. That's like the best thing about Amazon is how you can search your orders and find exactly what you purchased. I ordered, let me see here, 3M full face piece reusable. Here, I'll send you my affiliate link. It is the 6900. Yeah, so it's a full face and it works really well. I mean, it's still not 100% of a seal, but it is significantly better than the half face respirator. So
one of the things that I think about when looking at respirators, especially with the beard, is what are you wanting to filter out? Because most of the times the respirator, its major design is not particulate. Its major design is molecular. In other words, compounds from chemical processes.
yeah, they have different filters for most of them. You can get
what I'm saying is that for like woodworking particulate, having it go around a beard is not going to be too much of an issue because the amount of particulate that can make it through there is almost negligible. So unless you're actually trying to filter out something that is smaller,
the organic compounds are like the ones that you usually want, like and that's what I bought mine for when I was painting my truck, because like the urethanes and stuff are horrible. I mean, you can actually smell yourself dying when you spray that stuff. It is I'm
just saying that for a lot of people worry about that for like sanding. But the particulate matter from that is so large that it's not going to cause a problem coming through your beard.
No, I mean, I feel it.
It makes it through.
I feel it in my throat and in my nose, and
really,
like after I'm done. Yeah, like I don't know if my beard is that majestic and that thick. But
the other way, I was gonna say maybe you need to work on your beard.
Guys, I was out there sanding today with the beard, and it's no problem at all.
No, I just feel like I felt cruddy. I mean, I had probably like a 3-hour lathe session followed by sanding at 500 RPMs on these pedestals as a operator, and it just felt like crud.
I know.
Have you ever been fit for one?
Have I been fit for one?
Yes.
Like, do I go to the face mask boutique and have them fit me?
Yeah, you just use the same. Actually, you just use the same gauges that they use to measure. You just put the bar on your chin.
Yes. The mask size actually makes a huge difference, and actually having the right size to your face. And it's not like they're listed as small, medium, and large, but they're not exactly small, medium, and large. They're actually fit for face shape as opposed to just general size.
I have
different face shapes have different connection points.
I have an above average head size.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's not about size. It's actually about the shape. So do you have a long pointy chin? Do you have, prominent jawline? And so different shapes fit different masks differently. And those can actually make a very large difference. When I was at my last job, that was something we had to go in once a year and actually get it sized.
Because head shape changes regularly. Yeah, I know that they use like the tests and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know one really hack way if you're like desperate is you can goop yourself up with like Vaseline. That's, I mean, have fun with that, but it is an option.
You also make a goatee trimmer. It's actually a cup you put in your mouth and you bite a little tongue inside of it, and it'll give you a perfect outline that you can cut a goatee that fits inside the respirator.
Wait, are you serious? That's a thing?
That's a thing. I used to have one.
Like circa 2000.
Is that like the Floby for like industrial jobs?
Did it come with like those tiny round Oakley sunglasses from the Matrix?
I gotta find a picture of it.
I believe
it's like a weird looking cup with a tongue inside, and you bite the tongue and suck it up against your face.
That's weird.
That is weird. So Zach, on your full face respirator, actually might be cool for like using a face mask for turning. Do you know if the glass is impact resistant at all?
I'm sure it is. It's like plastic stuff.
Okay. It's probably the same stuff that like
Yeah, I think you're fine. The cartridges are, I mean, I think you can buy just the particulate filters are probably cheaper than the organic ones. But I know when you're not using it, same goes for every respirator. I always seal mine back in a plastic bag because those filters do, like, especially the things with the charcoal filters in them, like they will actually just, if they're just sitting in open atmosphere, they'll wear out. So you want to keep those sealed up when you're not using them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. I realized that topic for enough.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, we do have a question from the chat. Jim Rumsey. Did I butcher that? What did I actually say?
That wasn't bad. That was a good job. I'm still disappointed.
Well, he asked, what about making a table gluing 1/2-inch hickory to 3/4-inch plywood to make it thicker? And he elaborated on it a little. I have some hickory. I have some
hickory. There you go. That's what it's called.
I have some hickory. I'm planning on joining and planing them and getting little thin and looking to make 10-foot table. So I'm guessing what he has is 1/2-inch thick hickory that he wants to glue to a plywood to make, because you don't want to make a table out of 1/2-inch.
So he read that. Yeah, as he wrote that, he's saying that he, after planing and joining them, it ended up being a lot thinner than he had anticipated. Yeah, people do it all the time.
The only thing you have to be careful of is that the moisture level of the plywood and the hickory are very similar. Because if the plywood is wetter or drier, it will either suck moisture out of the hickory or add moisture to the hickory, causing the hickory to expand and contract at a rate than the plywood, thus creating a potato chip. But once they're glued together, they're a similar moisture. It shouldn't be too much of a problem.
And I also might recommend like birch plywood and not just like CDX.
CDX.
I know it's a pain to buy a $50 plywood and then cover it with something, but it really does make a difference. But that like birch plywood,
if you're making a 10-foot long table, it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't really see any problem with that unless you're like going, 6-foot wide table. It would have to be pretty massive to have a difference of expansion and contraction between the plywood and the hickory.
Yeah, and you could even, if you have enough hickory, you could even do top and bottom to do like 1/2-inch, 3/4, and then another 1/2-inch, an 1 3/4 inch thick, and just wrap the sides in hickory to hide the plywood. Then that might, moisture issue that James is talking about. If you've got equally wet or dry hickory sandwiching. Birch, it would
just whatever you do, make sure you finish the plywood. If it's just plywood underneath, make sure you finish underneath, because you want to have the finish all the way around. Otherwise, if it's not finished on the bottom, then more moisture will come and go from the bottom, causing the bottom to warp at a different rate than the top.
I was going to say, yeah, that's the same thing as like a normal solid wood tabletop. You always finish the top and bottom, and it's not to protect the bottom, but it's to control moisture, ambient moisture, humidity.
I've just seen some people who would do like anything with plywood. They're like, "Oh, the bottom is plywood. I don't want to spend the time to finish it. It's not worth it." Well, it's not that it's not worth it. It's just that it's changing how much moisture is coming and going from the board.
Yeah, I remember there's a bar that I used to go to, and they had, renovated the bar. They closed for a few weeks and renovated the bar. And then there's the grand opening, and there's a brand new bop that I think it was just like a general contractor did it and didn't bring in, like a cabinet guy or, a furniture maker or something. And did the whole bar top, but didn't finish the bottom of the bar top. And so as the relative humidity changed, the whole warped. And so it was convex. And so there's certain parts of the bar where, someone would, be talking to somebody and then someone would walk in. And so they'd set their beer down to greet the person that walked in, and it would just slide all the way off and hit the floor.
Nice.
And it was like, yeah, we need to fix this.
That's if you've milled up all your lumber and you're about to start your joinery, don't set your lumber flat on a surface. Because what'll happen is if you let it overnight and you set one side flat on a surface, that surface won't get any air. And if there's any moisture change from day to night, particularly if you're working in a garage, you'll come in the next morning and your board, which you perfectly planed to the exact thickness, is now a potato chip.
I've had that. I've had that happen.
It's the only thing I've said for like 5 minutes. Yeah.
I started the podcast before James hit record. He said, "Are you ready, guys?" And Zack goes,
Yeah.
Cool. Well, do you have any other questions from anyone? I don't think we do.
Oh man, what are we going to talk about?
Oh, we've got lots to talk about still. We have the it's right. We're not doing the Creators Photo Challenge this week because we did that last week.
That's right. Oh, Zack, do you know the photo challenge? Zack?
Whatever. Rule of thirds. I can see it on our list.
No, it's texture.
Oh, well, you guys need to update that list. I'd be lost.
Have, 7 or 8?
Yeah,
they're actually kind of cool.
Texture. That sounds like a fun one. I haven't even checked in yet. I've been so crazy. It's just, I say that every week, but I've traveling and been in a bunch of different cities. I was in Spokane, drove through a bunch of places, and now I'm back home. So I didn't really get much time to do my social media. However, I did get to do my Maker Shirt Monday, and it's happening. It's a thing now. Like I'm not the only one doing it now. It's like it's blowing up. So,
I did Johnny Brook last week. I forgot to do it on this Monday.
Yeah, it's going. It's moving under its own power now. So I did it.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Oh, I'll throw it out there too. So, we were up in the Northwest, which we love. People know that we're planning up there in the next year. And if anybody lives in Bellingham, Washington, or has any insight on Bellingham, Washington, I would love to hear your opinion, because of all the places we've looked into, I grew up in Eastern Washington, Northern Idaho, and Portland. Bellingham seems pretty cool. So right now that's kind of number one on our list. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, I'd like to hear them.
I'll be out there probably next year or so.
The Northwest or Bellingham?
Bellingham.
Really? What for?
That's where Grizzlies based.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they got the two showrooms. There's one in Springfield, the main one. And
where's Springfield?
It's in Missouri.
Yeah.
Missouri.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where Grizzly's based, and so I is building his dream home right now, and he says once it's done, he wants to play in a crazy awesome shop.
Nice.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. So forward to that, but he has to finish his house first.
Yeah.
But you might be out there by then. I don't know. I can double up.
We're hoping 1 year from now. We're hoping by next June. So it was so nice to be out in the woods again and have mountains and
yes.
Oh my God, like weather that was hospitable. It was unreal. So,
well, you guys ready for the joke of the week?
Let's do it.
This one I made a video this last week on making a wooden whistle, and I had like 7 people send me the same joke. I'll give it to any one person, but this week I made a wooden whistle. It wouldn't whistle.
God, that's so stupid. I love it. It's perfect.
That's like it wouldn't go, the car with the wooden engine.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great.
There's so many ways you can take that joke. I love it. So let's look at what we're reading or inspired by. Will, what you got?
So since I got this knife grinder, and since I've spent way too much time on this dining table, like I feel like I've been talking about it for a year. But since I have the knife grinder, at the end of the day, I've been practicing my knife grinds on cheap steel and realizing that I absolutely suck at it. So I've been watching a lot of Walter Sorrells.
This is Walter Sorrells. Today we're going in half.
Yeah, he's very.
He is George Bush's like brother.
See, I find him very dry, but Walter Sorrells here, and today I got more tips for the knife maker.
Yeah, and like with the awesome, I mean, his videos are really good. And there's a lot of grit in there, but they're kind of funny. Like they have, like this little intros of them are like so, like they have this really great '90s vibe to them.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So I've been watching that and just on tips on knife grinding and, doing a freehand or versus jigs. And I'm leaning towards doing more freehand because it sounds like if you get used to a jig, then I don't know. Then I like to do things the best way, I guess. I don't know.
This actually, because I just went through the same thing. First off, I'm curious, did you get a belt grinder? Or did you get like a big wheel grinder? Like, does it have a belt or is it like a actual, like a grinder?
It's pretty unique actually. It's a 2x72 grinder.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, but it looks like a giant, bench grinder, but it's got a con wheel and drive wheel, a 10-inch drive wheel on the bottom. And then the idle wheel, is on a tensioned.
Okay, so it's a 2x72. That was my question.
Yeah, but it's only got two.
Do you have a platen, or is it just? Are you grinding off the wheel?
Yeah. No. It has a flat platen, so you're not doing all hollow grinds.
Cool. Yeah. So, I've been doing like a bevel a day until I went out of town for a week. But I started doing some freehand and it was just really hard. I mean, they worked, but they weren't pretty. And then I found this thing called the bubble jig, which wasn't my tool of the week, but I'm going to stick it in here. This is his website, the guy that I ordered it from. So it's really cool for people who want to learn how to freehand and don't want to rely on a jig. So what it is it's actually, it's a file guide, which is what you want to get your plunge lines even and nice and crisp. And so it's the file guide, and then it also has this magnetic level that you stick to the file guide, and you can actually adjust the angle of the level. So there's these shims that are different degrees. You put that against your platen, and then you set the level, and then so you're actually freehanding it, but you have that bubble level to make sure that you're freehanding it, but you're keeping your angle consistent. So I think, it's somebody might argue that it's not freehanding, but who cares? I don't really care, but it's if freehanding is your end goal, I think that is the best way to build the muscle memory. And one of the things that I found is that it is so much less of an angle than you think. I've been doing mine at like 8 degrees, and it is literally like on a 1-inch 8x8 piece of metal. It is like the thing is skimming my knuckles the whole time. It's just barely touching. It's way less angle between the blade and the belt than you would expect. So yeah. But that bubble jig is awesome. I bought it, and it, at least, if nothing else, it will definitely show you, give you a feel for, what angles and stuff to hold your blade at. It's been good. I usually try and do I'll do one on the jig and then I'll try it without the level just to see how close I can get it. So
okay,
I recommend that. It's pretty cool. I'm happy with it.
So you made that little mini cleaver-ish knife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Have you made more like finished, not heat treated, like all the way through sharpening knives?
Ain't nobody got time for that. No, I have not. So I have, if you check my Instagram a while back, I made this like cool little scimitar slicer out of a box end wrench.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
But so I'm waiting for a heat treating oven. I have a heat treating oven from Even Heat on the way that should be here before the end of the month. And so that one small one that I did that I put a video out on that I made with the other guy, that's all heat treated, tempered and everything. And we used his stuff for that because we did it in his shop. Nothing I have made, no cutting edges have I tempered. Shakespeare now. No, I have not fully like tempered a cutting edge. Most of the that saber one that I did out of the box end was not super hard, so it probably didn't harden to the point of it being super brittle enough to justify tempering it, since it's just going to be used for slicing tape off of boxes. I'm not going to be hacking or chopping stuff with it, so I'm not really too worried about that. But yeah, once I actually start getting into making more knives that require holding their edge or more chopping and stuff like that, I'm definitely going to want to be tempering them. And same goes with my hammers that I've been making. The little like they're like 10-ounce, 12-ounce hammers that I've been doing on my Instagram. Those are 5160 spring steel, and I'm quenching them in oil. And since they're so small, I'm not really too worried about tempering those. But once I get my oven, I'm going to be tempering everything, especially the larger hammers. So,
okay, all right,
yeah,
cool. What are you watching, James?
Since we're talking about knives, I was just watching Man at Arms, one of my favorite channels. It's actually Awe Me is the name of the channel, but they do a show called Man at Arms where they make swords and other things from myth, legend, and movies. And most of the time they're really cool swords that are just impractical and worthless. But this week they built Brisingar from Aragon, which is one of my favorite book series. And in the books, there's an entire chapter dedicated to describing the sword. And so rather than making it from the movie, they decided to make it from that chapter. And it is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it is a double-edged, long, two-handed sword that is. Oh, and the video was just, I'm happy.
What's going to happen in I think in 1 to 2 years, everybody on YouTube is going to be making knives. Nobody's going to be making river tables. Who's going to make river tables?
Well, they've been making swords I've been following them for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, no, they've been around for a while, but I feel like everybody's kind of,
yes.
Everybody's
wait until they come up with the epoxy river sword.
Yeah, right. Actually,
oh my God, I want to make that happen.
No, so I was in my shop earlier, and because I've got so much stuff going on, I've got 20 million projects going. Because this stock was kind of it had some checks and voids and knots and stuff in it for these pedestal tables. I have to fill them with epoxy while they're on the lathe as I uncover them. I'll be turning, and then all of a sudden, they're not. So I've been filling them with black epoxy, and then to the live edge bench that I just made, I cut off the end of a kind of a burly, knotty piece of that I didn't want to put in the bench, and then it's probably 6 inches, 2 inches thick by 5 inches wide. And so if I had extra epoxy, I was pouring it into this burly piece of whatever. And then I was looking at it today, and I was like, oh man, this looks so cool with the black with the swirling grain of the whatever. And then I looked at my knife grinder that I just got, and I'm going to make this epoxy white oak burl knife scales or something. And so, yeah, there's the mini version of the, epoxy river table board.
Epoxy river sword. That's like straight to the top of SEO. That's everything YouTube wants.
I'm doing it tomorrow.
Looking forward to seeing that.
So do you have like a heat treating oven, or are you going to go the toaster route, or?
I'm going to go my kitchen oven. Well, one of my kitchen. I have two kitchen ovens.
Nice.
Probably the electric oven. So I have an electric oven and a gas oven.
Get an external or get one of the separate temperature things that you can stick in there, because the ones that are built into ovens aren't very accurate.
Okay. And so that's why, I post, Zach, you commented on this. I posted to one of the groups on Facebook that we're all a part of, about pretty much, like steel for dummies. Like what's an easy knife steel to start out with that I'm going to temper at home in my kitchen oven. And I think I'm going to go either 1085 or 01. But
I like, well, not that I'm like the most experienced on the subject, but I've gone all these. I feel like there's a progression of people who are getting into this stuff. Everybody asked the same questions, and I kind of decided that like 1075, 1080 is a good, for edge stuff. It's pretty easy to heat treat. Same as 5160. That's also a good, pretty forgiving when it comes to that sort of stuff. So,
do you know which one has more? Do you know which one has more chromium in it? So it won't rust as easy? Chromium, isn't it? Isn't that they put it in to make it less?
I don't know. I don't know if either of them have chromium in it. Assume if they do, that 5160 would have more, since it's a high alloy, or it's an alloyed steel instead of a 10 series, which is a carbon steel. So I would just guess that 5160 would have more strangeness in the alloy than 1075. So yeah.
Cool. What are you watching, Zach?
What am I watching? I've been reading a lot.
Okay.
Because I've been traveling, and I didn't have. Let me find the link to it. I had it up a minute ago. Then I started looking up respirators for you instead.
While he's looking at that link, James, do you know what kind of steel they used for the Brisinger sword?
Well, actually, the edge, I believe, was 5160. But the core was made out of meteorite.
Oh, that's
processed meteorite, and they have a double twist, triple layered etch in it.
Ooh, very cool.
Yes.
So just to summarize this episode, it's like safety and swords.
Yes.
We get a lot of comments of people telling us about woodworking and not the other stuff. So, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Metal. Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Okay. I found the link. I kind of go back and forth. I usually read like one or two nonfiction books, and then I'll like spoil myself and read something that's I'd be ashamed of. So my go-tos are usually Stephen King and Dean Koontz, and I just finished Strange Highways by Dean Koontz. But I am currently reading, in addition to that art history book that I've been reading for like 2 months, I'm also reading this. It's called Amusing Ourselves to Death. It's crazy. It was written in 1985 by a guy named Neil Postman, and it's about this is, like I said, 1985, and this is about how the change of media, like how everything has shifted from being in print. We were a print society for hundreds of years, to where that's where we get our information, and it's very formal and it's very intellectual, and it's expected to be accurate. And then with the advent of television and stuff, how it's transformed into everything's about entertainment more so than the content. And it's just really insightful. I mean, it kind of references Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, which is essentially about how there's so much information out there that people just stop caring. And it's interesting and terrifying at the same time. So I'm
Huh.
about 40 pages into that one right now.
Cool. Well, what's your tool or product of the week?
Me?
Yes, because you have an interesting one here.
Oh, yeah. So I actually have an appointment tomorrow to get my TSA pre-check. And I am so excited about that. I'm so sick of standing in lines at the airport. And I've been flying at least once a month, every month this year. So I want to be one of those people who can, be smug and walk past everybody in the airport lane. So I have my appointment tomorrow. And yeah. That's one of mine. If that doesn't count, my other choice is Instagram, just because, you like stuff that you like to look at, and it's pretty inspiring sometimes to see what other people are making. So,
yes, it is.
I have two odd choices. Hopefully, that's good enough.
Well, what you got, Will?
My favorite tool, so I got
Good
this
internet
grinder
connection?
in.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. That's my favorite tool this week.
Your tool of the week is what is it? A 26 dial-up modem.
Yep. I got knocked off. My favorite tool. So I got that knife grinder in, and I put it over in the metalworking side of my shop, and found a good place for it on my welding table, because my welding table is 4 foot by 5 foot. So it's a pretty sizable welding table. And reading through the directions, it was like, you absolutely need to have this bolted down to whatever surface. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. So ran through my whole shop, couldn't find 8 bolts, and I was really frustrated. And so I was about to head to Lowe's, but then I stopped by my grandma's house, and was going to raid through her garage to see if my granddad had any bolts. And then she said, go to Supply. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I went to Tractor Supply, and oh my gosh, I'm never buying bolts anywhere else again. So instead of going to Lowe's and like finding whatever and writing down each part number and how many pieces it is and yada yada yada, all of their bolts are sold by the pound, $2.90 a pound. I just started throwing stuff in a bag, and I went up and I spent $1.70. And yeah, so that's
Yeah.
I remember all the hardware stores used to be like that when I was a kid.
Yeah, so that's my tool of the week, is Tractor Supply and their bolt aisle.
I like it.
Yeah. So pro tip, don't buy your stuff at Lowe's.
Yeah.
Now I hope Lowe's ever sponsor me.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Cool. James, what's your favorite?
I'm going to have to go bread knife blade that I'm using, and I'm actually making a bow knife. And so, rather, you think of a knife as in the shaft and the blade are all one piece, but in this case, the blade is a separate piece from the supporting bow that comes around it, and the bow ends up being it ends up basically being a fence, so you can make sure that all of your bread slices are the same thickness. And it's kind of a fun thing, and you can buy a pack of them for like $30 and make a half dozen of these and give them away as gift. They're actually a really quick and easy project. So hopefully that video will be coming out tomorrow, Thursday. Yeah. So it's really kind of a cool little project that anyone can do in an afternoon.
Hey, you guys have kids, so do you guys have Costco cards? Costco memberships?
No.
Okay. Well,
no,
I used
don't.
to, but just not worth it anymore.
Okay.
I had Sam's Club membership, and then Costco came to town, and everyone talked about how much better Costco was than Sam's Club. And I walked in, and it looked exactly like Sam's Club, and the prices are exactly the same. And I realized that I got Sam's the year, and so no, I don't.
So you have a Sam's Club?
No, I let that lapse because I only went once a year.
All right. Well, we can't get good food down here, and I was thinking maybe buying a Costco membership because I've heard their meat is good. So Anyway,
used to
this
have
has
one,
nothing to
but
do
it
with,
wasn't
this has
healthy.
no business being on the podcast. I just thought I would ask.
It's about making things, food,
Yes. Yeah.
and a budget.
You can't food down here. It's horrendous. I forgot what real like food tastes like when I was back in the Northwest. It was great.
Cool.
So,
Well, I think we have rambled on for long enough, and you guys have squandered a perfectly good 45 minutes of everyone's life. We are sorry for that, but at the same time, we are not. I do want to say a huge thank you to our patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to find out more about that, you can look it up at patreon.com/Creators Collective. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all here next week, as will be next Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Yes, not
Yes.
10 p.m.
10 a.m. Eastern.
Cool. Well, until next time, see you later.
Goodbye.
Adios.